Peregrine Took, commonly known as Pippin, was a hobbit from the Shire, one of Frodo Baggins's closest and youngest friends. He was born to Paladin the Second Took and Eglantine Banks as the youngest of four children and the only boy. His three older sisters were called Peril, Pimpernel, and Pervinca. His father's sister, Esmeralda Took, was the mother of Meriadoc Brandybuck. Therefore, Pippin and Merry were first cousins. Through his father Paladin was Pippin second cousin, once removed, of Frodo Baggins, and the first cousin, twice removed, of Bilbo Baggins. He was very young when he was invited with his family to Bilbo's farewell party. As his uncle, Thine Ferumbras Took, was childless, his brother, Pippin's father, Paladin, became the Thane himself. Pippin often wandered with his cousins, Merry and Frodo, at the Marish, sometimes visiting Farmer Maggot and stealing his mushrooms in Frodo's case. But he got to know the country, enjoying the beer and the golden perch at Stock. Later he became one of the conspirators, who were spying on Frodo in order to discover the truth behind his mysterious behavior and help him with his quest when he finally decides to leave the Shire. Together with Merry, Folco Boffin, and Fatty Bolger, they helped Frodo move from Bag End to a house in Crickhollow. After celebrating Frodo's last birthday in Bag End, Pippin, Frodo, and Sam went on foot through the Shire to the new house. On their way, they encountered a Black Rider, and also Gildor Inglorion with his company of elves. Merry joined them in Crickhollow, but due to their fear of the Black Riders, they decided to continue through the Old Forest. There they were waylaid by Old Man Willow and rescued by Tom Bombadil. On their way to Bree, Pippin was caught by a Barrow Wight on Barrow Downs. Luckily, Tom Bombadil saved the hobbits again, giving each a dagger from the old tomb. Once in Bree, at the Prancing Pony, Pippin was recklessly telling the story of Bilbo's disappearance, which led to the inn being attacked by the Nazgul at night. The hobbits again escaped unharmed, this time thanks to the mysterious ranger called Strider, who took them through the wilderness to Rivendell. They had to escape the Nazgul again, twice, but succeeded in reaching Elrond's house in the end. Once there, Pippin's main concern was that he and Merry would be left behind, while Frodo and Sam continue with the quest. But his insistence paid off, persuading Gandalf to value their friendship more than any other help a mightier companions would provide. Once part of the Fellowship of the Ring, Pippin proved to be more of a nuisance once they left Rivendell. Firstly, asking stupid questions, while Gandalf was trying to open the secret door to Moria. Secondly, in Moria itself, when his curiosity got the better of him as he dropped a stone down the well to see how deep it was. The noise of the stone falling down the deep stone well revealed the presence of the Fellowship and roused the local goblins. It also incurred Gandalf's wrath, as he called Pippin a fool of a Took. After escaping from Moria, the Fellowship reached Lorien, meeting the Lord and the Lady of the Golden Wood, who provided them with boats for their trip down the Anduin River. During the skirmish at Amon Hen and the breaking of the Fellowship, Merry and Pippin were protected from Saruman's Uruk-hai by Boromir, until his death. The two hobbits were then taken alive, bound and carried through Rohan, heading for Isengard. During the nightmarish journey, Pippin had enough sense to drop a leaf brooch from Lorien to signal any pursuer that he was still alive. When a company of Rohirrim, led by Eomer, ambushed the orcs at night near Fangorn Forest, the two hobbits managed to escape deep into the wood, where they met the old Ent Fangorn himself. He brought them to his home and gave them Ent draught to drink, which substantially increased their height and curled their hair even more. Merry and Pippin befriended the Ent, telling him their story. They were also helpful in persuading Entmoot, the gathering of Ents, to go to war against Saruman. After the destruction of Isengard, the hobbits reunited with Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. While Saruman was talking with Gandalf and Theoden, Grima has thrown the Palantir of Isengard at them from the window in Orthanc, but missed. And it was Pippin who picked it up. Succumbing to curiosity again, he looked inside the stone at night, and was confronted by Sauron himself, leading the Dark Lord to believe the ring-bearer was in Isengard. That led Gandalf to take this fool of a Took on his horse, hurrying for Minas Tirith. There Pippin met Denethor, the ruling steward of Gondor, and the father of Boromir. In recompense for Boromir's death, Pippin pledged his allegiance to Denethor, and joined the Tower Guard of Minas Tirith. His guide in the new service was Beregond of the Third Company, who showed him the city and introduced him his son Bergil. Denethor was amused by the hobbit's informal manners and the way he talked to him as an equal, thus creating the rumor between the servants of the king of the halflings coming to help Gondor. During the siege, Pippin witnessed Denethor's attempt to burn Faramir and himself in the Hallows. He informed Beregond and fetched Gandalf. Together, these three were able to save Faramir's life. After the battle, Pippin found Merry all in daze and took him to the Houses of Healing. Later, he accompanied the forces of the West, marching to Imlat Morgul and then to the Black Gate of Mordor, under the leadership of Aragorn. There, he participated in the Battle of the Morannon, saving Beregond's life while slaying a troll in the process, becoming the first hobbit to do so. Pippin himself was crushed beneath the troll, but Gimli recognized his foot and pulled him out when the battle was over. After Aragorn's coronation, the king knighted Pippin, granting him the leave to return home and to come back to Gondor whenever he wants. Back in the Shire, he was instrumental in overthrowing Saruman's rule there, raising the Tooks in rebellion and commanding, together with Merry, the hobbit forces in the Battle of Bywater, leading them to victory. Pippin became a hero of the Shire, proudly wearing his Gondorian armor and telling hobbit stories of their adventures. He also traveled abroad from time to time, accompanied by Merry. He married Diamond of Long Cleave, and they had a child together, a boy named Faramir, who later married Samwise Gamgee's daughter Goldilocks. When he was just 44 years old, Pippin succeeded his father as the 32nd Thane of the Shire. He was also made a councillor of the Northern Kingdom by King Elessar. As a Thane, Pippin collected a library of historical information at great smiles, especially those about Númenor and the heirs of Elendil. It was at Great Smiles that the Tale of the Years was likely put together, with Merry's assistance, although Pippin himself probably didn't write any works. His successors continued in expanding the collection. At the age of 94, after 50 years in the office of the Thane, Merry and Pippin passed their offices to their sons and left the Shire for good, travelling to Rohan, where they stayed until King Éomer died, and then moved to Gondor, where they remained for the rest of their lives. When Pippin died, he was laid to rest beside Merry, and after Aragorn's death, they were entombed next to him.